Welcome back then to Hockenheim. Let me just confirm the result of the German Grand Prix for you. Now, just listen very carefully to this. If Michael Schumacher wins in Hungary in 3 weeks' time, he will be world champion once again. Confirmation of the result then. Ralf Schumacher, the winner here. 10 out of 10 for him. Rubens Barrichello, absolutely storming drive around Hockenheim again for the Brazilian. Jacques Villeneuve on the podium, great points for BAR. And look at that, the two Benettons after a blank season. 3 points to Fisichella, and the first 2 points of the year for Jensen Button and Jean Alesi battling that cross round and making his point. The Drivers' Championship then, so Schumacher wins around the Hungaroring in mid-August. A fourth world title is going his way. Rubens Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher nip and tuck between them, and Ralf might just be looking at David Coulthard and saying, I've got enough time to catch you as well. Montoya, so unlucky not to add to that total today. And the constructors, well, Ferrari are away and clear there, but there's a real decent scrap going on for second place, where Williams are gaining ground on McLaren. BAR have moved above Jordan, who've had an absolutely miserable time here this weekend. The press conference, we're going to go down to it now to hear from the big three in Germany.
Congratulations, gentlemen. Ralf Schumacher, winner of his home Grand Prix in Germany. Rubens Barrichello, second for Ferrari. And Jacques Villeneuve, third for British American Racing. Ralf, what does it feel like to win at home?
Well, it's a great feeling. I mean, I've always had a bit of bad luck here. I've never really finished in a good position. And, I mean, to be here today in a German package to win the race in Germany is a great feeling.
Now, soon after Juan Pablo Montoya, your teammate, had his problem in the pits and you took the lead, he then went back out and his engine blew up. Did the team then tell you that this had happened and to watch everything and perhaps slow down if you had to? Or did they just say, keep racing?
Well, already before that weekend, we knew that we are on the tight side with the engines. So, after the race, when Pablo pulled away, I was, I thought, okay, you're doing whatever you want to, and I started to save engine already because I know how long and how hard that race is, obviously, to engines, and it paid off at the end. And after this, the team told me as well, slow even more down, and then it was easy because Rubens couldn't push anymore, so it was a perfect scenario for us.
Thank you very much, Ralf. Rubens, you started the race on a two-stop strategy. Do you think it was one that could ever have produced a race win here today?
Well, I mean, thinking that the two Williams were on another level, I think the best of what I was hoping for, or what I could achieve, was third, basically because they were really fast. So I think it paid off, to be honest with you, because I was the only one on their pace to start with, and I took a long time to overtake David. It was a fair race, but I think it was a little bit too close. And he was losing time as well, so I don't know what he was playing, because, we both wanted to go forward, and we were losing like 3 seconds a lap. And so I was hoping to finish well. I mean, if Michael was there, I don't know what I could, I would have done it, but it's, in any case, I think it was everything I would hope for.
But talking of your overtaking manoeuvres on David, you took past him twice, and both times around the outside into the stadium. How confident were you that you could take that line and still get through the corner?
Well, we know each other since the phone 3 times, so it's. I think we have a respect on each other. It's not the fact of going on the outside. It's that he left just that side for me, and in a way he was one up on me because of Silverstone last year, so I needed to go on the outside.
Rubens, thank you very much. Jacques, your second podium of 2002, but you started outside the top 10 today. You completely surprised?
I am surprised to be in the podium. I was hoping to get in the points, and I thought we'd need a little bit of luck to get in the points. But to get in the podium today is great. We weren't very competitive all weekend, but this morning, surprisingly, in the warm-up, after a few changes on the car was really, really competitive with fuel on board. So we knew we had a chance to do a good race, and the 2 starts went well. But then Olivier, being on a different strategy than us, was going a lot faster, and when he got close to me, then I let him by so he could play with Jarno a little bit. And what I was hoping happened. Jarno went off, so then I was just trying to stay in Olivier's toe so he could carry me along.
Now, talking of the start of the race, Jacques, obviously we had 2 starts today. What did you see of the incident at the first one, where Michael Schumacher seemed to be very slow off the line?
I didn't see what happened, but I was surprised when there was a red flag, because we already went through the debris once. By then the track was cleaned, so the most dangerous moment of the race is actually the start, so I was actually really surprised.
So, man, as always, I would think Villeneuve, one of the few people surprised when the race was red flagged with all that debris on the circuit. Anyway, Tony, let's take a look back, shall we, at the start of this German Grand Prix, and I mean, all sorts of stuff flying about, and Michael Schumacher really almost stopping and causing it.
Yeah, he had to give us probably the most difficult and dangerous time of a race, and it's like an airplane, isn't it? It's the takeoff and it's the landing, and that just shows how easily it can happen. And that shades of '89 there, when Gugelmin did exactly the same thing over the top of Nigel Mansell and survived quite well. Here it is from another angle. It's when the driver is unsighted like that because he's busy, he cannot see, believe me, the back of the car there. He's busy changing position, whoops, and up he goes. Now, if that had happened 2 years ago, and Bernoldi's very lucky, as we've said, because the car went over the top of him, if that would have happened 2 years ago either, the side impact, the top impact tests that the FIA have imposed, then perhaps there would have been some damage to the driver as well, and he might not have walked away from that one. And, you know, we've had other accidents, even like '82, when Paletti went into the back of Pironi, and unfortunately then the driver perished, but that's a long time ago. Safety now is paramount, and it is great to see drivers survive it. It's great to see the camaraderie between Michael Schumacher, concerned about a fellow member there. Grand Prix Drivers Association, very strong as well, led by Schumacher and Coulthard and Trulli.
It is actually the nightmare scenario for a crash, isn't it? Because they're all pedal to the metal, absolutely going for it, and you're not going to expect to run into something as poor Bertie did there.
And also, the tyres have a certain amount of temperature in them as well. And when you hit the back of another tyre, the tyres fuse together, and that helps the launch pad even more. You can imagine what is going through the driver's mind. But also, you know, we have a situation where inside the cockpit, where the FIA have said in the safety cell there is even more padding as well around the driver. There's a seat that's moulded to them as well, which helps to minimise some of the damage to the driver.
Villeneuve wasn't happy about a restart, but I think we all felt the race had to start again.
We were saying here, as we were sitting and watching the debris that was on the track from that, there was no way. I think that Charlie Whiting and Herbie Blash absolutely right to red flag it after that, because there could have been punctures. And again, you know, when the restart happened, this was relatively clean. But here's this man, Barrichello, right at the beginning, being aggressive now, and also the power and speed of the Ferrari. Just look at this. Look at Schumacher. He went past both the McLarens then, and Barrichello followed quite soon after that.
OK, Tony, thanks for the moment. Anyway, a lot more for us to talk about. We hope to have a word with Jensen Button as well when you rejoin us. You're back with us reviewing the German Grand Prix won by Ralf Schumacher. Now, Tony, Ralf, the big winner here today, but a big tick, I think, for Rubens Barrichello, who won here last year in such emotional circumstances.
I just think that Barrichello was aggressive from the start. You know, he made so many moves, even the one with Coulthard, which we really enjoyed. Fabulous passing and repassing. And he was just on it the whole time and so committed. And I think the other story of this whole race is that all the other field, the rest of the runners in the field knew the power of the package of BMW, of Michelin and Williams together. They'd almost conceded before they started, so much so that Michael said, I've just got to watch where Coulthard is. And unluckily for David, he went out when he could have scored some more points.
It's been a long time coming. Jensen Button has a couple of World Championship points under his belt at last, and Jensen is going to have a chat to us now. Well done, Jensen.
Thank you.
A long wait. A bit of a shock to you that it's come here?
A slight shock, but again, we've been good all weekend. I mean, it hasn't been points finishes, but we've been looking quite good, and you know, the consistency of our car and the reliability has really helped us here. So we're here finishing 5th and 4th, which is great for the team, and we really need it as well at the moment.
Have there been times when you've doubted your own ability a bit this season?
No, of course there hasn't been, but it's been difficult. I knew there was problems, and also in myself I had to learn new things on the car, which I found difficult at certain times. But it's good to get this result, more for the mechanics and all the people that work so hard behind the scenes and everything. So it's good for everyone.
Let's just talk about the race, Jensen. Were you involved in the smash at the start at all?
No, I saw Bertie's car behind. I could just see the wooden plank of the car in my mirrors, which was pretty scary. But the good thing is he was okay and able to get out there again. As you can see, these things are pretty strong.
And you ran nip and tuck with your teammate Giancarlo Fisichella for quite a while, didn't you? And he got past you. We didn't actually see that. What happened there?
I was at the start. I got a good start. I think he got blocked in. And the good thing was that we were running with cars that we weren't expecting to be. For example, the BARs and the Jordans. It really proves, you know, our tyres seem to be working well. I think the Michelins are. And also the car was very reliable and up to speed. It was good to see and great to feel. It's so much, you know, it's a much better feeling when you're able to race with cars like that.
It's very different for you, this one, compared to the one that you had at Williams. Are you learning along the way?
Yeah, definitely. I've learned a lot this year. You know, and it's been a tough year for me, but it's, you know, it's getting better. We're still going to have tough races, I think. But I've learned a lot, and hopefully that can show over the rest of the year and also next year. But the best thing to get a 5th place here is, I mean, last year was a 4th place, and we've almost got the same finish. So hopefully the rest of the season will be the same.
Everybody's taking a 3-week break now, Jensen, after what's happened to Heinz Howard Frentzen. There are 1 or 2 people, well, I mean, shifting drivers all over the place, really. Can you give us any steer on where you might be next season?
Oh, next season? I thought you meant next week. Next week I'll be on holiday, and nobody's allowed to phone me at all. But next season, yeah, I'm at Benetton next year. That's what my contract says, and that's where I want to be at the moment. So that's where I am.
Good. Enjoy your holiday, Jensen. Well done. Congratulations on a couple of points.
Thank you.
OK, one of the main movers in that team is Mike Gascoigne, and let's have a little word with him now after Benetton's best day of the year.
Mike, I saw you just before the race. You said to me, different place but same blank, but it all turned around for you, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great race. Great boys did a great job, and both drivers did a fantastic job. I had a bet with the chief mechanic who said we'd score points today, and he bet me 20 quid, so I think I better go and pay him.
How much do you owe him?
I'll pay him quite a lot, I think. For the
You were betting against your own cars, were you?
He said we'd score points, and I didn't think we could, but it was a great performance. The tyres were very, very good, and apart from Giancarlo's little mistake at the end, both guys didn't put a foot wrong.
Bit of a lucky day for you as well?
Well, you make your own luck in the end, don't you? We've had to endure quite a lot. I mean, it's a tremendous result for Renault. They've had so much criticism over the engine. This is a power circuit. OK, we needed some people to drop out, but we got 2 cars to the finish. We've had lots of criticism about the reliability, and we've come home 4th and 5th, so it's something to enjoy.
Well done.
Thanks very much.
Very pleased for Benetton, who've taken a bit of a slapping throughout the season. Very sad for Juan Pablo Montoya, who seemed to have the race won, didn't he? And the first sign, really, that things were going wrong for Montoya was his pit stop.
Yeah, there'd also been a slight problem, if you remember, at Silverstone when Ralf Schumacher went slightly ahead and stretched the wires when he stopped. But this was a problem with the rig, and they had to switch clearly to Ralf Schumacher's fuel rig, which cost him an enormous amount of time. But we didn't really have time to talk to Gerhard Berger about it when he was here, the BMW competitions director. But he said last week to his drivers, we're not going to win the World Championship in 2002 even, because we're not ready. And one of the areas that we're not ready is in the pits themselves. We're too slow. We're losing valuable seconds. We're losing reliability with the car, as we could see by one engine going, as you can see by in the pit stop. It's not really the boys' top fault, you know, at all. It's gelling everything together to make a winning team, and potentially they could take the title next year, but not like that.
It looked for a little while as though Michael Schumacher might luck into a few points, and he would have lucked into them once again, and then he ground to a halt. That's an unusual sight this season.
It's unusual. That's 2 Ferraris that have failed because, you know, his race car had a gearbox problem. This has got some sort of problem. I was a bit sad that Michael hadn't actually got the car off the track there and out of the way at such a high-speed track. But this is his bogey track, isn't it now? He won here in '95, and now Ralph's won here once as well. He must think, what have I got to do to try and win in front of my home fans, you know, at Hockenheim?
Absolutely. We can find out exactly what Michael Schumacher thinks about his failure here today as he chats to Ted Kravitz.
No room for this.
Michael, bad luck, I suppose. You can't win them all.
This is true, and I wasn't expecting to be a winner, but would have been nice to score another 6 points. So we could have finally done it in Hungary, but like that we have to wait a bit longer.
Bit of a crazy race it was. Was it any consolation David didn't score too?
It was an up and down race in terms of emotion, but not too high on the other side because it is not a decider race for the championship anyway. But on the other side, even being not finishing, we did go another step towards the championship, which is good as well.
I suppose you might have had a feeling that Ralph would have been the winner today.
Certainly, I mean, seeing Ralph and Rubens up there, it makes up for some of the disappointment.
By our mathematics, a win in Hungary for Michael Schumacher. It is world title number 4. Juan Pablo Montoya going for his first F1 victory after the pit stop, worst to follow as well.
Well, there's this question mark about reliability, performance on the track. Poor Juan Pablo Montoya, he's had the lion's share of the retirements this year. He's had hydraulics, he's had electrics, he's had collisions, he's had 2 crashes. And now when he's starting to get his act together in qualifying and really learning the art of complete Formula One, the reliability problem hits him and this cruel luck hits him, which is why he's gone off without talking to anybody. He's an angry young man and quite
I think in fairness what he said was unprintable. He said a few things before he left, but I'll leave that to your imagination. David Coulthard a bit more reflective after what happened to him here today, but the McLaren's never on the money throughout the weekend, really.
No, and I think David has lost out here because he didn't test in Monza, which is a high-speed place where you can test and you can really replicate the conditions here at Monza. His tyres, the car was chewing the tyres. He never had the right setup. And just when he needed the luck to stay in there, you know, after Michael Schumacher had retired, his bad luck comes back and really hits him. The strain after that pit stop, and everything seemed to let go. And unfortunately, with Hakkinen out as well, and all the Mercedes top brass here, it's not good for McLaren when they've made some leeway after Silverstone, especially the win.
Luciano Berti had an interesting afternoon, didn't he? Involved early on and then here.
Well, see, the thing is, what happens, Jim, is after a big crash like that, I'm sure Luciano Berti will have had to have seen Professor Watkins, the FIA medical delegate. They have to say their name, they have to count through the numbers. But you'd have to say that his equilibrium had gone. He was spinning off all over the place, and he's had some big incidents here this weekend. It'll be a weekend to forget for him, but thank goodness he's perfectly okay.
One of the great sights of this Grand Prix right at the end, the Frenchman Jean Alesi battling to make his point. He did it okay, and then he chatted to Louise Goodman.
Jean, congratulations, you got a point, but by the look of you, you really had to work for it.
Yeah, I'm really pleased for the final result because at the start we have some problem with the first gear, really too long. At the first start, I saw my teammate flying in the air and I was a bit shocked. But I'm pleased to have this point because for sure it will be very heavy for the future of my team.
And what about your future? Because there's all sorts of talk circulating in the paddock this weekend.
Yeah, it's true. But today it's a day of happiness. I will explain something a little bit later on.
You don't look very happy. I mean, last time we saw you getting points, you were jumping up and down.
I'm happy for them. Thank you.
Unusual interview that, and does that mean next time we see him in Hungary he'll be wearing the Jordan livery?
Well, you know, we bring you these hot rumours from time to time, but that's why I arrived back in the studio. Slightly sweaty.
Not a hot story, not exclusive, a hot rumour. I've heard that before, yeah.
and that's why I came running back into the studio just before the start, because the Italian press are convinced that Jean Alesi is going to take the place of Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the Jordan for the remainder of the season from Hungary onwards. Well, who's going to fill the place at Prost? Could it be Frentzen? We don't know. But certainly there's a great bond between Alesi and Eddie Jordan, because they were Formula 3000 champions together in '89, and Eddie's tried to get him in the car lots and lots of times.
In fairness to Eddie Jordan, we all felt he would have something in store that would explain what he's done to Heinz-Harald Frentzen, but judging by the way they've gone here, Mr. Alesi would be very welcome.
Well, this was Ricardo Zonta, and we have said that he hasn't really covered himself in glory. 15th on the grid wasn't good enough, and despite the fact that the arrows of Verstappen in front of him had come out of the chicane quite slowly and he got a bit too close, it's up to the car behind. This is the result. You know, and ultimately he goes out of the German Grand Prix. Now this one was quite amazing of Trulli, because he'd been having a fabulous dice with Panis and Villeneuve behind them, the 3 Honda-powered cars. Trulli, such a great racing driver, made a very basic mistake there, trying to get back at Panis, who just got past him, and you saw that elementary mistake on a spin.
Just your final thoughts, Tony, as we enter this little break in the season?
Well, I think it's great for everybody to have a break and regroup and recharge their batteries first of all. But Michael Schumacher will be upset that he's not that bit closer. He's still got a way to go. And there's a little chink of light in the tunnel for David Coulthard. You never know.
It's a very little chink of light. Thanks very much indeed, Tony. I must give you the result of the competition. Remember we asked you, it was a pretty simple one, who won last year's British Grand Prix? And David Coulthard, the answer. And the big winner, the winner of the brand new MGZR Sports Saloon, is Mr. C. Hindley from Manchester. Well done to you, sir, and you will join 10 runners-up, having a day out at Thruxton as well as enjoying that new motor. Highlights tonight of the German Grand Prix at 11:45, and the show repeated, as always, tomorrow night, ITV2 at 7. The full service throughout the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend, qualifying live from 11:30 on the Saturday, a big pre-race show on the Sunday starting just after midday. Highlights at 11:45, and once again ITV2 7 o'clock on the Monday night for the repeat show. There we are then. We're all going to take a 3-week holiday from Formula One. We take a break with Michael Schumacher just a victory away from the world title, but younger brother Ralph ruling the roost in Germany. See you in Hungary. Bye-bye.